Hi everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a couple of different types of cards using your Cricut Joy. Now be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube, that way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. I'm going to show you how to use things like the cutaway cards, which are the cards that have the adhesive to stick the sticky cardstock backing to, and then also how to do insert cards, which have a separate piece of cardstock that will just go into some little tabs. Now, to do this project, you will need your Cricut Joy. The Cricut Joy card mat is highly recommended. I will link everything we're using down below. That way you can find it super duper easy. And then you're going to want to have a pin pen. This helps with the weeding for your cutaway cards, and you'll also want a Cricut Joy pen. You have to use a Cricut Joy pen. The Cricut pens don't fit unless you have an adapter, but again, I'm gonna link everything down below. And then I do recommend using a brayer on these, especially if you've used your card mat a little bit and it's not quite as sticky as you'd like it to be. This can really help hold the cards down to the mat so they don't slide around when you're cutting them or writing on them with your Cricut Joy. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Today's tutorial, we're going to be going over how to make a couple of different style cards with your Cricut Joy. This is a super fun thing that you can do with the Joy. The Joy really was marketed more so for the card maker, which is why they came out with like the card mat and all of that for it. So it's a really great little tool for card making. So I'm going to show you really quick how you can find some cards here on Cricut, and then we'll make a couple of those, but I also want to show you how you can make your own style cards. So first I'm going to go under projects, and up under where it says all projects, you can filter it down a little bit. And if you go under the categories, the Cricut categories, and click cards, you'll see that it's going to bring up all of the different types of cards that they offer. And there's lots of different ones to choose from and use. You've got ones that are the insert cards and the cutaway cards. Now you can definitely use the insert cards interchangeably with the cutaway cards, just so you know. But the cutaway cards can't be used with the insert. And I'll explain that all to you a little bit more detailed when we go to make them. Now, I did go through and I bookmarked some that I liked. So I'm going to go to my stuff and look at my bookmarked. And you'll see I have quite a few cards bookmarked because I wanted to try a couple of different styles with you guys, including some cutaway ones and some of the insert cards. So first, let's go with the Forever Grateful one, which is right here. And this one is an insert card. Now, how do you know that it's an insert card? Very, very easily. If you look here, you see these little tabs that are cut into the card and have the color of the backing coming through. That is an insert card. It'll also tell you here kind of what you need to use for those cards. Now, you need to make sure that you choose the correct finished size for whichever card you are using. And the card box that you have for whatever card you ordered will tell you how big they are. So the ones I'm using are the 4.25 by the 5.5 cards. So I'm going to click customize so that we can look at how this is set up so you can get an idea of how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this over here so you can kind of get a look at all the different layers and all of the different things. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the layers out here and show you what each of them are. So you have this reddish orange layer, and that's like the little bones and the stars. That is set to draw, meaning that we're going to use one of our Cricut Joy pens to write on to the cardstock. Now it's going to do our pen function first, and then it will cut. Now we have two sets of the draw because they're two different colors. That's totally fine, pretty good, looks fine to me. But then you also have this basic cut area, and that's where it's going to cut out the spots for your inserts, your letters, and your little paw print. So it's all really set to go good. You don't really have to do anything to this, which is really nice. If you just want to make a quick card, grab one of the Cricut ones. So now that we've gone over all the layers, let's go ahead and hit the make option. I'm going to go ahead and not bother saving this since I just used one of their pre-made cards. But what I want to show you is sometimes, even with them being Cricut cards, they're not always set up exactly correctly. I want to point out to you that we have multiple mats, which we should not have. Everything should be on the same mat. So let me show you how to correct that. So if you go to make it, they're all on different mats. I want you to hit cancel because that's definitely not how it's supposed to be. These are currently grouped, not attached. We need to attach the design in order for it to hold everything in place. Now, when you have the selection of draw and cut and attaching them, you'll notice that they don't change color because they're different operations. For whatever reason, Cricut Design Space can figure that out pretty easily, even though sometimes it doesn't seem to want to figure out other things that we try to attach. So we still have our two colors of our pen and our cut area. So now that we have attached this, when I click make, everything's going to be on the same mat. So you can see here we only have the one card mat. It's good to go. You'll notice here that your material load type is already set to on card mat. You'll notice your material size is already set, and you want to make sure that you don't use the mirror option because we're just going to be cutting this and writing this on the front of the card. Now I'm going to get all the cards created for you. I'll show you how we load the mat and all of that, but I'm going to do that in one other segment just so you can get an idea of how we kind of design the cards, work with the cards versus, cutting them all and having it all spliced apart. So that's how you do one of the insert cards that they have pre-made. Now, if I want to use one of the cutaway cards, again, I'm going to go under my bookmarked items because I have a couple different versions of the cutaway cards selected here to choose from. I really like this happy birthday one. I think that one's super cute. I also really like this smiley face one, super duper cute. There are a lot of super cute cards here that you can use. Now, I will be honest, not all of them are made perfectly for the cutaway cards, so you may need to do some sizing on them, but this one is made from Cricut so that it is made perfectly for the cutaway card. Now, my cutaway card is the same size, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. Now, with this one, you don't get to do any kind of customization, unlike the other one where we were able to click customize copy. So this one, when we click make, it's already going to go right to our card mat. Now you're going to find that some of them will do that, and sometimes that's really convenient. Other times, maybe I wanted to change this up and I can't do that from here. But I do want to cut this one out so that you can see it is really cute when it's done. So all the white areas are going to be your pen, and then all of these like little thin ones right here, this thin line will cut out. So that's just one option. If you get a card like that, you really can't do any organization or changing it up in any way whatsoever, which can be kind of a pain if you wanted to do anything with it. But I want to show you one of the other cards that's on here because I think that you'll kind of understand how we can work with these a little bit differently by using some of the cutaway card situations. So let's do this happy birthday one. Now you're going to notice here that it does say finished project is approximately this size, but we're going to make this with a Cricut cutaway card and not one of the cards they used here. So I'm going to click customize. And each of them is going to be designed a little bit differently. So you're going to see that this one has the different pieces already cut for it. And while that's all fine and dandy, that's not really what we want to do with this, and that's okay. You've got a card liner, which you would glue to the back, and then you also have your whole card piece. We don't really want to mess with that. That's just too much for us. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ungroup or detach. Actually, this one is just attached. I'm going to detach this. And I want to keep some pieces of this, but I don't need the score line right now. And then for this card piece, you're going to see that you have a couple of different parts. Now what I have here is a perfectly usable blank card, blank design piece. So I'm going to size this so that it's the correct size for our card. I need to make this 4.25 by 5.5. So we'll just change the sizing. This is going to be the guide for our card mat to help us make this. And then all I'm going to do is line this up along with the design here. Everything lined up where you want it. You're going to hide this A2 card liner. We just used that as a template. We don't actually want to keep that because that's going to mess with the size of our card. I want you to go ahead and select the cut section and the draw section, and you're going to attach those to make sure that they stay in place on our card mat. And now what we're going to do is click the make button. You're going to select the on card mat and click confirm. Now you'll notice that your card is ready to go. Now it is going to look like it's all one color. It's all going to look like it's just going to draw, but it will cut out those bow sections. Because you can see here that you have pen and basic cut for this mat. Now, if you need to change your card size, like let's say you realize you're using a bigger card, you can do that, but your design is going to be a little bit smaller. But we're using the 4.25 by 5.5, so that's going to line up great. The nice thing is with Cricut, when you make your design, any design that you choose, it's going to line it up in the center for you when you're using the card mat, so that's a really nice feature. Now let's talk how to personalize a insert card. So for this, I would just find an insert card that has like the tabs that you like. So whether you like smaller ones or you want really big ones, truly up to you. But I like to just use, whatever they've got. And this thank you one's really good. The tabs are smaller. It's just what I prefer. Now, again, it's going to tell you the finished size, but you can resize as you need to. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click customize because we can customize this, which is super important when you're picking one, obviously. And for this design, you can see that we have the thank you and we have the little starburst, but then we have the little tabs. The only thing we want to keep for this are the little tabs. So you can see here you've got top lines, which are the little like sunburst, as I call them, the text, and the bottom lines. You can either delete them or hide them. I'm just going to hide them since it's already attached. And I'm going to create my design in the center of this section. Now, keeping in mind that an insert card does not have the sticky back. So if you put any text on this, you won't have any letter centers. Let's just find an image to use in this. So I'm just going to go to images and let's just search, just do advanced search, and we'll find something that we can put on this. You can really kind of use whatever you want to create for this. But again, keeping in mind that things that have to have like the centers held together just are not going to work really well for these types of designs. So like those little sunbursts were perfect. This actually would be perfect because it's just a little firework. You could definitely do something like that. But you want to pick something that's a little more on the side of simple. So like you can't use something like this because you have center pieces that would need to be held in place and they wouldn't be. So it would just cut out as like a big blob. I hope that makes sense. But something like this filigree would work really well because it has, all like solid pieces without having like the centers. So let me find something that we can work with and use for this design. Okay, I like this little spider. So I'm going to use this and we're going to make a Halloween themed design. So I'm going to add the spider to the canvas, but you'll notice that he has a spider web. I don't want to use that spider web part. So what I'm going to do is just hide that. And I just want to use the little spider. Now I'm going to go ahead and size him down and we'll just place him in a couple spots. I'm going to duplicate him, put him down here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll flip him just so he's facing a different way. And then I can kind of add whatever I want to this card. Now let's add some text here and let's just go with spooky because I want something that's got a lot of letter centers so that you can see how we're going to do this. So spooky season has lots of letter centers. So making these little bridges is going to be a lot easier than you think it is. So what I want to do here is I'm going to change my font to whatever I want it to be. You can use any font that makes you happy. Does not matter. Do you. It's whatever you like, whatever font that you enjoy. So let me find a font that I like. Actually, that one might work, or I do always like Enjoy Summer. I think that one tends to be pretty cute. Let's do that one. Let's do Enjoy Summer. I think that one will cut really nice. Now, I think I want to do this sideways. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn this and then kind of get this where I want it. And then I'm going to take this entire card. I'm going to rotate it so it's on its side. It's just going to help me kind of see how I want to lay this out because I've got like a space down here. And once I kind of pull this out, it's going to cover up the spider. So I think I might actually move this spider down here, which is totally fine. Do whatever you want to do. Like I said, make your own designs, have fun with it, but you want to make sure everything stays within the insert edges. So this is pretty much how my card is going to look. Now, the way the Cricut Design Space has their card mat set up, making a bridge for your letters is pretty much impossible as far as I've figured out. My brain power just can't do it. But this will look really cute regardless of even having the set letter centers. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select my entire design and I'm going to attach it. And then all I have to do is click save so that we don't lose our design. And I'm going to rename it to Halloween Spider Card. And simply click save. And then we can click the make option and it will send it over and ask us what we want to put it on. I want to put it on the card mat. Click confirm. And then again, you can always change your material size. So we're going to go ahead and get all the cards cut out so that you can see what they look like and how they work on your Cricut. Now let's say you want to come up with your own design for your card. Totally doable. It's really easy and really, really simple. Truly, truly this is. So if you want, what you can do is go into those projects again, go and find the bookmarked one. And I'm just going to use the Forever Grateful one and use the 4.25 by 5.5 and click customize. This is a great way if you want to do something where you just want to make sure you have all of your sizing absolutely correct. This will just give you kind of a guide to work with, but you can also change these up if you want to. But I do like to use this kind of as a little guide for what size I can make my design. Now, let's say we want to use, let's do a rainbow. I'm going to go into images and I'm going to search for a rainbow, assuming I can get the R. There we go, rainbow. And what I like to do is I'm going to look for one that's a little more pieced apart so that it cuts better. If you use something like this, it's not going to cut well on your card. You need something that has space between the lines of the rainbow. So something like this one would work really well, or this one. But let's go with this one. And I think that one's going to work pretty well for what we want it to do. And I'm just going to kind of get it sized inside this design. Now, I'm going to use a cutaway card for this versus using a insert card, but you could absolutely do this with the insert card too if you want to. I just would rather do it with this. So I'm just going to figure out about where I want it to sit. Now, keeping in mind, you can take up a little bit more space over your area because you don't have these little insert brackets. So now, all right, I'm pretty happy with that rainbow. So then we can add some text. And let's say no rainbows without rain. I don't know. I'm not a motivational speaker. And then you're going to find whatever text you want to use. Now, I like to use system dialog text, like the regular system fonts versus Cricut fonts. I just don't like the Cricut fonts. But you can go through and kind of choose whatever font you want to. The nice thing is with the cutaway cards, you don't need to worry about the centers of your letters like you do with the insert cards because they're sticky on the back. So I think that's probably pretty good. I don't want to make it tiny though, so I think I'm going to change this. I'm going to give them each their own line because I've got the room for it. And then I'm just going to kind of size this so that it's going to fit on our card. I think that looks pretty good, so we'll go with that. I'm going to go ahead and make it black as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and hide my original. Now what's going to happen is that the design is going to cut out anything that's black. So the middle of your clouds will stay, the arches of your rainbow, the inside, the white parts will stay, but all the black will be cut out. I'm going to select both my items and I'm going to attach them. And then all I need to do from here is click make. Now you want to save this one just in case. So I am going to save it as rainbow card and click save. Now in the make section, again, it's going to ask you what you want to cut it on. I want to use my card mat and I'm going to click confirm. Now, again, you'll notice kind of that you can move this around if you need to, whatever you need to do with it, but usually it's pretty accurate as to where it needs to be for the size card you're using. Now, we're going to go ahead and get all of our cards cut out so you can see what they look like. We're going to do the cutaway card, and I'm going to use this pretty gold with this pretty navy. So what you want to do first is you want to take off the backing of your card. This is like covers up the sticky portion, and I like to just use a pin pen to start pulling that away, and you're just going to pull away this kind of like plasticky backer to reveal the adhesive. See how that's shiny? That's where your adhesive is. Now you want to make sure you put this down the correct side. So you'll notice that one side will be white and one side will be the shiny colored side. You want to put the shiny colored side down, and you want to be sure that you're covering up all of the adhesive, and then you also want to make sure that you're not putting it so that it's like hanging off the edge anywhere. And then you want to make sure you press this down really well. Then get your card mat, and I want you to take the back flap. You're going to slide it under the edge of the card mat all the way to the top and all the way in. And then you want to make sure you press this down really well. That way it doesn't shift. Now we're going to load our card in just a second. I got to load the image onto Cricut Design Space, and then we'll get this one cut out and I'll show you how to weed it. Once it's done, you can go ahead and unload this with your computer. And then I'm going to leave this on the mat really quick and show you how we weed this. So for this, I want to take the outside of the rainbow off. Now I will say one of the things that I don't love about these cards is sometimes they don't always cut really well through the paper. You can see right here at the bottom of my rainbow that it didn't really cut through the paper super great. So it's leaving like a layer, and then like right here it's going to try to lift because it's got like a chunk that it didn't cut very well. So that's just something that when you're doing these cards, you have to just be prepared for, and we can pick that off here in a second. But we're gonna go ahead and get this all weeded. So all you're just doing is taking out the spots where you want that shiny paper to show through. Now again, we can just go through. You can use tweezers work pretty well for this too if you're having trouble using a pin pen. I'm trying not to scratch the backing too much. But I'm going to go ahead and finish getting all of this stuff off. I'll cut the other couple cards, and then I'll show you what they all look like when we're done. For this card, I will need a pen. I'm just going to use the black one, and I'm going to open up the clamp, remove the fine point, drop the pen in. This one doesn't click, it just drops in, and then closing that clamp. I always like to put the cap on the top. And then we will load our card. Now this card is a little bit different because unlike the Cutaway card, there's no right or wrong way. I did use this card previously, but I'm just going to use it again. That way I'm not wasting materials. So I'm going to go ahead, slip this in again, making sure to press that down. Go ahead and load this into the Cricut. Once it's done cutting, I just always want to just double check that cut. Looks like it actually did okay. So we'll go ahead and pull that out by just hitting unload on our computer. And then you're going to go ahead and pull this off of your card mat. Now I do say be careful, especially like around the edge, because it is a little bit like tight around the edge here. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and pull it off. Now you do see some of my stuff stuck on. That's okay. We'll just kind of pop it out. And I will be honest, this card got stuck. It came off the mat, so I do have some cuts on it that aren't supposed to be there, but they didn't cut through. The card kind of fell off the mat, so no big deal. We'll just reuse. I'm not going to waste just for a video. So you can see here, I'm going to go pop these off, and then I'll shove the little insert in so you can see what that looks like once I get all of the parts out. So I'm just going to use this really pretty holographic insert, and all you do is you just put the tabs, like the corners of the cardstock, that like shiny cardstock, into your little tabs, and you can kind of bend your cardstock so that it will go into your tabs. It should fit perfectly, and now you have this really fun card. I think this one came out super cute. This one I could absolutely mail out to somebody and it would be really, really fun. Now I will again be honest, I did reuse a card. You can see there's a little foil in the back. So if you're ever doing like a cut and it gets messed up on a card, save it because you can use it for like test cuts and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead, clean off the card mat, and finish cutting the rest of our cards out. Here are all 4 of our finished cards. Now, if you have any questions, please let me know in those comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure you're subscribed here. That way you don't miss out on any fun, crafty content we have coming. I've linked everything that I used for this video down below so that if you want to make them, you can absolutely make these too. It's a lot of fun, and truly, sometimes you just have to experiment with different fonts and images to see what works with the different card types. Remember that it's okay to make mistakes, and it's totally part of the process. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.